So NDP leader Jagmeet Singh pulled back the curtain on his private life on Tuesday, getting down on one knee and proposing to Toronto fashion designer Gurcharan Kaur. Now, these photos of the happy couple, and we wish them all the best, were shot by the Canadian press, who were invited to the actual proposal by Singh. Was that media savvy or a political mistake? Has the line between what's personal and what's political just been blurred? To find out that and to get some new numbers on polls, the Scrum is back, of course. Joyce and Stephanie are back. Craig is back, and we'll bring in our special guest, Nick Nanos from Nanos Research. Good to have you here, Nick. Was this a smart move for Jagmeet Singh? Is it 2018 and there's no such thing as privacy? It's the social media world, or did something in Canadian politics shift now for Jagmeet Singh?
Well, you know what? He's opened the Pandora box because everything is now open season. If a very important private, I should say hypothetically private moment is open for public scrutiny, then everything else, I think, for him is. I think it potentially puts him at risk. I think it's both cringeworthy and attractive for some people.
Right. Craig?
Well, I don't think so, because the press was invited in. They may not be invited in next time, and if they're not invited, they shouldn't go. But that's not my concern here. My concern is that was the same day in Vancouver, the foreign minister and the American Secretary of State were working on important issues involving North Korea. I would have hoped that he'd be calling the press in to talk about something of substance. I'm glad he's getting married. I hope they're the happiest couple in the world, but I don't think he has yet got the kind of credibility on issues that he needs before he starts being a media star.
I agree. I think he has to stop playing, because this is, you know, I mean, me too. I'm hoping they're very lucky and they're long time happily married and all that. But, you know, he's a politician and we want to know what he stands for. And he doesn't want to run for office here. He doesn't want to sit in Parliament. He doesn't want to do all the other stuff that politicians do, the boring stuff. So what is he all about? What does he mean? What does he represent? And why am I going to his engagement party? I'm sorry, I don't care.
I'm a little different than Craig's view, Steph, on this, which is when the media is invited, of course they're going to come, but you can't determine when the media is invited, because then the media becomes a prop. The line shifts. You know, who's to say now that the media can't follow them around on their private vacation? It seems to me that we never used to, but why shouldn't the press now do it?
Well, it's an interesting dilemma, perhaps facing Singh's people, because let's look back a few more weeks, right? And when he had that ceremony involving his now fiancée,
right,
and there was a lot of speculation, what just happened? Did they get engaged? Did they not get engaged? Pictures were surfacing on social media. And it seemed to me that this open proposal was a way to get the narrative back, to control back the story of Mr. Singh and his future. And all the discussions I've had with Mr. Singh, granted not many, are about his desire to sort of do politics differently, to open up the lives of politicians, to make them more transparent, to make them seem more authentic, and we can all roll. I see you guys are all rolling your eyes.
That's the thing. Are we old? Is it 2018 and we're missing the social media?
But that's what I'm saying. I think these public proposals, I mean, some people think they're gross, and some people think that that's life in 2018.
I think we all sound like old fogies.
Okay.
This is a Snapchat generation.
I agree.
And I think what he's saying is that he is part of the Snapchat generation,
opened it up for
and he wants to connect with young people because that is what younger people are doing.
That may be true, but I think there's long-term changes that come in that. Craig, last word on that.
Everything old is new again. Don't they remember Pierre Trudeau and his use of the media to talk about his private life, to show him diving off swimming boards, all kinds of things? Trudeau loved to be out there being seen on this kind of stagecraft. So what's new?
Maybe that's true, but personal life is always a bit prop.
In
they're always
theory,
used as props.
But Andrew Scheer, I mean, look at Andrew Scheer and look at the media tour. I was part of it that he was doing over the last 6 or 7 weeks, where he was inviting us journalists into all sorts of little elements of his personal life, designed explicitly to showcase, "Hi, I'm Andrew Scheer," and you know, get his name out there and get his voice out there. I think
and Justin Trudeau's got a photographer following him around jogging.
They all do, right? They're followed like this. I think the proposal, what many people seem to be uncomfortable with, is that it, in theory, is this intimate moment between two people agreeing to, I'm sounding awfully romantic here, but like agreeing to spend the rest of their lives together. And what business do we have witnessing it?
Well,
I mean,
it was obviously
leave it to
staged. It's not what business did we have. Then we should ask the question, what business did he have inviting us to something like this?
And why didn't she put her foot down and just say,
right?
shut it?
But obviously it's a totally staged,
well,
totally staged and, you know, not very spontaneous if you tell her, dear, I'm going to ask you to marry me, but the media is coming.
Well, the only interesting one element is we've also, where has been Jagmeet Singh, right? He's been off the political radar. Now we're talking about him, and it gets to your new numbers on the polls, right?
Yep.
Because when Parliament's not sitting, you always think to yourself, boy, where the opposition leaders are trying to get oxygen. Well, he's certainly got some oxygen. Has stuff shifted in your latest poll?
You know, it's interesting. The latest Nanos polling, Liberals 37, Conservatives 34, NDP 20. We see a bit of tightening of the gap. They had a very bad week. It's going to be interesting to see whether this is a new trend or whether this was just a one-off. The Liberals had a bad week, and I think that was coming off a whole bunch of things. The ethics commissioner, right? You have like the Morneau stuff dogging them. You have the NAFTA free trade talks on the skids. You roll all that up, it's an accumulation effect. So we'll have to see whether the Liberals still are close to the Conservatives or whether that was just a one-off.
Right. Craig, I mean, it's interesting to see Andrew Scheer, right? Somebody used to call him like Joe Clark, Joe who? Joe Clark eventually won, but right.
So did Bob Sandfield, another weak leader.
Right, although he didn't win.
Almost won, one vote.
That's right. But interesting tightening up of the polls there.
Yeah, well, look, I think that the Liberals, for use of a better word, have a culture problem. I think their progressive agenda is broadly supported, but very thinly supported. And I think the more they talk about these things, the less they're talking about the economy and jobs. And they've got a minister who, of finance, who really can't communicate really well in the way Canadians need to be hear the financial issues.
I would agree, except the economy's doing well, Stephanie. It's not like he's presiding over an economy that's not hot. It's pretty good right now for him, even though he's got his own fundamental challenges.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think we've talked about it before. The people's perception of their own future, how things are going to be for them, how things are going to be for their kids, never goes in lockstep with the GDP. It's not the same thing. But you wonder, with Nick's numbers. So this is coming off the ethics commissioner report about his relationship with the Aga Khan, one of the world's most powerful and richest men. Where is the prime minister going this week? He's going to Davos, where he's going to hobnob with, oh, guess what? More of the world's powerful and richest people. I mean, how is that sort of trying to reset this narrative or trying to make him look more connected to the people if he's just back in that same crowd of people that are getting him in trouble in the first place?
Biggest challenge, Nick, going forward then, because the Liberals, you say, have a problem. Is this an opportunity for Jagmeet Singh, an opportunity for Andrew Scheer, who was just down in Washington, just talking about NAFTA, not criticizing the government, but maybe starting to get that I'm a statesman too kind of position?
Yeah, I think for the Liberals, they have to pivot off. They can't keep coasting, to Craig's point, about, we're nice, we're tolerant, and we're friendly and positive, right? Which is what they're trying to do. They've got to get back on the economy, and because if they leave that space open, the Conservatives are going to go right in terms of the deficit in the economy and things at risk in the future. And for Jagmeet Singh, he's got to figure out his own progressive kind of mantra that is different and unique from Justin Trudeau.
It's the old fear that Liberals suffer from elitism, hauteur, and that someone may come along and say one of these days, you know what, they're not really like the rest of us. That could be a devastating campaign if the Conservatives picked it up.
Well, that's what they're trying to pick up on. All right, I got to leave it there. Nick, Nanos, Stephanie, Joyce, Craig, thanks so much. By the way, all eyes on that upcoming NAFTA negotiation that will take place right here in Canada. Very critical. Then, as we just talked about, the Prime Minister jets off to the Davos World Economic Forum in Switzerland, taking some key ministers with them. I don't think there'll be a helicopter ride there. That does it for us here at Question Period. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching, and we are back here in 7 days.